looking, firing, intercepted, picked up by Cooper DeJean, gets a block, snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles going for it all into the end zone, and it is caught. Hurts going deep, for it all, DeVonta Smith, he has got it.
Welcome back to another episode of AJ's Birds with your boy AJ, giving you the hottest, the freshest insight on the Philadelphia Eagles. And man, it's been a little minute. Let's get this off the screen real quick. It's been a little minute since I gave you guys the episode, man. Schedule been real busy, schedule been real tight. But man, I think the last episode of AJ's Birds I did, I talked about I think it was before the draft, actually. It was before the draft was my last episode of AJ's Birds. I haven't had a chance to really talk about anything that's occurred since the draft. So there's a lot to get into. Obviously, the highlight of today's episode is the schedule. That's the biggest thing. That's the thing I'm going to spend the most time talking about today is the schedule and giving y'all how I feel like this is going to break down. Giving y'all my predictions, my insights on how I believe the schedule is going to unfold, the record we're going to have, the seeding that we're going to have, not only within the division, but in the NFC. And, there's a lot to get to with that. Some stuff I like, some stuff I don't. But we're going to get to that a little later in today's show. We got some things to address first. The first thing I want to get out of the way, because I didn't have an opportunity to talk about the draft for so I want to quickly touch on just a few players that we picked up that I really have very, very high expectations for, and that starts with the number one overall pick for us, that boy Makai Lemon. I got high expectations for bro. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I got very high expectations for bro. I don't think this pick has been talked about enough outside of Philadelphia, in all honesty. I think Makai Lemon got a chance to be a 1,000-yard receiver in Philadelphia his rookie season. I think he has a chance to fill in right where A.J. Brown is ultimately going to leave off, and I'll get to A.J. Brown shortly. I think he has a chance to be one of the best receivers in the league in short order. I do. This is arguably the best receiver in the draft coming out that the Eagles were able to move up and grab. This isn't a guy that people expected to fall to the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a guy that the Steelers want to draft a pick or so earlier. This is a guy for USC that went off for 11 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards. This is a guy who was a model of consistency, a tough guy that can go over the middle of the field, a guy that won awards at the collegiate level, and a guy that, again, I think that we should have extremely high expectations for right out the gate. I haven't been this high on a receiver coming out of the draft that we drafted since DeVonta Smith. We haven't moved up in the draft a receiver since DeVonta Smith, and we've seen how that has panned out. The Eagles have an eye for pass catchers come the NFL draft, and I think getting Makai Lemon, ultimately knowing that A.J. Brown is most likely on his way out of the door, was a huge addition to this offense. All of this talk about Jalen Hurts not being able to pass the ball over the middle of the field and stuff like that, I think that comes to a cease this year because it's not like he hasn't done it before and he hasn't been efficient or effective doing it. It's just that the type of offense that we run is not really conducive to targeting the middle of the field like that. It mainly is conducive to targeting the outside the numbers. But I think you bring in a guy like Makai Lemon, who is known for being kind of like an Amon St. Brown, a Puka Nacua in some ways, a CD Lamb that could really, a JSN that could really just be over the middle of the field, putting in work, and also be on the outside, putting in work, doing this thing. So I think Makai Lemon is going to be a big, big time addition for us. I think it's going to complement DeVonta Smith extremely well, Wicks extremely well. So I think that's gonna be big time. I'm predicting right now that he's gonna break Devontae Smith's rookie record. I think Devontae went for 916 his rookie season. I think Mekhi is gonna beat that. He might go for 917. He might not get 1,000. But I think he's gonna beat that. Another pick I want to quickly touch on, and I only want to touch on these two picks because the draft is coming and going. We're not gonna spend too much time talking about that. But Eli Stowers. Now, I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I knew who Eli Stowers was before the draft, right? I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I was like, oh, the big Eli Stowers guy. This is the guy that's gonna come change life in Philadelphia at the tight end position. But what I will say about Eli, I think it says more about the Philadelphia Eagles than anything. Y'all gotta excuse me. Allergies is kicking my ass right now. So nose is running, all of that stuff. So y'all gonna hear some sniffles and whatnot. But anyway, Eli Stowers is a guy who went over for about 4 touchdowns this past season at Vanderbilt. Well over 700 yards, closer to 800 yards from the tight end position. A guy who's like a big receiver for a tight end that's really a receiver for real. He's not a very good blocker, but he's a guy that can help you stretch the field. He's a big target for Jalen Hurts. The thing I like most about this pick is the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles are really good when it comes to tight ends. They're really good when it comes to tight ends. I mean, you got to think we went from, at one point we had Brett Selleck, who was a great tight end for us. And then we went on to get Zach Ertz, who ended up being a Hall of Fame tight end for us. Definitely Ring of Honor guy for the Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl champion in 2017 with the Eagles. Then you move on from him and you go and drive Dallas Goedert, who's also now a champion, who may end up being the Ring of Honor guy for the Philadelphia Eagles at some point in time. Did just break a record for receiving touchdowns this past year. And now you go and get an Eli Stowers, a guy who's, like I said, a freakish athletic tight end. And you go and get him in the second round. And that tells me a lot. That tells me a lot. With all of the holes that the Eagles had, right, at the position, right, you needed to address offensive line, which you did in the following round. You needed to address safety, right? Obviously, you addressed the receiver early, right? I was shocked that they didn't address defensive line immediately. Now, I'll get to that in a second, but you could have went defensive line. There's a lot of different ways that you could have went with that pick, but you go and get a tight end. That goes to show that they are very high on Eli Stowers. That goes to show that they have high expectations for him in the building. That goes to show to me that he's going to be not necessarily a focal point, but he's going to be a weapon used for the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Reports have already come out and said that Sean Maine and Jalen Hurts have hit it off in the offseason, that they have, connected and, they like the way the offense is going to flow. Jalen Hurts is liking what he's hearing. He's liking the new adjustments and things like that Mannion wants to implement. And I think some of that is going to be multiple tight ends on the field at one time, multiple threats. And that's why you see us getting the receivers that we're getting and us getting the tight ends that we're getting as well. We got like 3-4 tight ends on the roster now that we can interchange and put in different positions. I think that's going to be big in the red zone. I think that's going to be big on 3rd and short. It also helps your running game a ton. It just adds different elements to your offense to where defenses don't really know what's coming, which, again, has been an issue for us in previous years. Defenses kind of knew what was coming. We would just out-talent guys. Now, with these additions, we're looking to out-scheme guys, outthink other teams, and that's what I like. I like us scheming to get players open instead of just relying heavily on talent, because talent, it'll get you far. We've seen what talent has done for us over the last couple of years, but we are now getting to a point where it's like, okay, they know we talented. Let's scheme some guys open and make things easier on our players, on our quarterback, and then every now and then rely on your talent, but not make that the main focal point. And so those are the big things from the draft. Obviously, the Jonathan Gennard pickup. I said we needed to address defensive line, and we did in a big way. Jonathan Gennard is going to come into the building to be a double-digit sack guy. He is the best edge rusher that we have gotten, the best veteran edge rusher that we have gotten since the addition of Hassan Reddick years ago, who obviously is not with the Philadelphia Eagles anymore. I think that this addition is a big-time addition for us. I think this is a big-time addition. This is a guy, like I said, a veteran, a guy who has been around the way, right? we extended him, gave him over 100 M's, right? So he's getting paid. He's happy. He wants to win the championship. Hasn't sniffed the championship in all of his years of being a pro. So now he's here with the opportunity to do that in the NFC still, a conference that he knows very well. I think that this is a pickup again. This is a signature Howie Roseman pickup. Where it's like we need to address defensive line. We already got some young guys in the building. We already got Jalix Hunt. We already got Nolan Smith. We already got some young guys in the building that we expect to take a step. But we also wanted a veteran, right? We also wanted a veteran that can come in and that could make noise from the get-go. A guy that you just have expectations for, and the rest of the guys on the defensive line, the edge rushers, can kind of just fill in. So by making this trade during the draft, it made defensive line less of an immediate priority during the draft. And so you can address some other holes. You can go offensive line. You can go safety later in the draft. You can go linebacker. You can address some other needs because now you got Jonathan Gennard in the building. You don't have to go defensive line immediately. So the Philadelphia Eagles draft, in my opinion, like I said, this is my first time talking about it since it happened. I don't think it could have went any better for the Philadelphia Eagles. I really don't. I think you went out. I think you got some big-time players that could add an immediate impact. I love the fact that Howie Roseman decided to just, for the most part, hyper-focus on that offense with the first couple picks. Number 1 pick, you go get Mekhi Lemon. Number 2 pick, you go get Eli Stowers. Number 3 pick, you go get somebody from Miami for the offensive line. Like, it's clear that the offense was an issue last year. The defense wasn't. So we're gonna get a veteran for the defense, but we need to go get some young talent for this offense because the offense is already super high paid anyway, right? And didn't perform well. Let's get some young talent in here, right? That we don't have to pay right away. You know what I mean? That could come in and can produce right away. And let's secure this defense. Now, like I said, with veteran talent. Now, like I said, not only did we get Jonathan Gennard, we also, we also exercised the 5th-year option on Jalen Carter, which was big time. Obviously, we extended the 5th, or we signed the 5th-year option on Nolan Smith as well. So that also was big, just securing those 2 players on the defensive line. Jordan Davis is already signed. So I think our defensive line is now set to make an impact and make it even easier on an elite secondary. So I like to say, like I said, I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about the draft. I love what I have seen, right, so far this offseason. I love what I have seen. I love what I saw in the draft. I love the aggression. Remember, I told y'all we're going to know by the end of the draft where the Eagles stand with A.J. Brown. As I move on to this A.J. Brown topic, we're going to know where we stand with A.J. We made the moves. We went and got Mekhi Lemon. As soon as we got Mekhi Lemon, I think we all knew where we stood with A.J. Brown. Now, I'm at the point, again, I say this, I feel like every episode, I'm at the point where I'm tired of talking about A.J. Brown, but I feel like we have to talk about A.J. Brown here on AJ's Burst. There's news. There's news to discuss. I'm hearing reports that he's out there, in Boston looking at places to stay. I'm hearing that, I just came across a report, obviously, interesting enough, right before I went live, actually, that the Jacksonville Jaguars are emerging as a potential trade partner for A.J. Brown. And the talk is, should the Eagles be interested in trading A.J. Brown for Brian Thomas Jr.? And listen, I'm at a point where, I'm sending them to New England. If I'm Howie Roseman, after June 1st, first off, if I'm Howie Roseman, I already have a deal in place. And we talked about this the very first episode of AJ's Burst. We talked about this. Like, I already got a deal in place with whoever I'm finna deal him to. And it's probably the New England Patriots because y'all been the ones that's on our line the most about them, right? It's an AFC opponent. We don't play them all season. We wouldn't have to play them unless we played them in the Super Bowl. What they do over there don't affect us over here. And we get some good compensation back, right? So we already got that understanding, right? I'm trading you A.J. Brown. You give me a first. I might take a first and a fourth. I might take a first and a third. Heck, at this point, I might just take a first. I'm not gonna lie. I might just take a first, and you go ahead. You can take A.J. Brown. That's what I'm going with. the whole Brian Thomas Jr. thing, I think it will hold more weight if we made this move maybe during the draft, or we made this move earlier. But how many receivers do we need? At some point, and I'm looking through the comments of the report, and I'm seeing Eagles fans going crazy about it, and I'm just like, how many receivers do we need? We don't need that many receivers, y'all. Like, we got Wicks, we got Mekhi, right? We got Devontae, we got Hollywood, right? Then outside of that, you got your tight end pass catchers. You got Eli Stowers, you got Goddard, you got Grant Calcaterra. Like, you got other guys that can catch the ball. Not to mention Saquon Barkley. He might catch the ball out of the backfield from time to time if the offense is run. If we finally run some running back screens here and there, he's gonna be catching the ball out of the backfield, right? And so we got more than enough pass catchers, bro. I don't think we need any more pass catchers on this roster. I think we are honestly stacked at the receiver position. We have more than enough talent at the position, and what we don't have, we make up for at the tight end position. So I don't think we really need much back for him, and I think that was the whole point of Howie Roseman making the moves that he made. He wants to be able to fill this gap by committee. Now, if somebody like Mekhi Lemon explodes and becomes the guy that I believe he can be, then okay, Mekhi Lemon went off and he's a superstar in the league. If Stowers turns into a receiver, like he's really more of a receiver than a tight end, like I just mentioned, and he explodes and is one of the guys, then that just happens. If Wicks all of a sudden he has a career year, then that just happens, right? But the whole idea is to do this thing by committee. And so I don't see the point in going out and getting Brian Thomas Jr. when you already have Devontae and you already have Wiggs, and then you went out and drafted Mekhi Lemon. It's only one football. It's only one football. I know as Eagles fans, man, we like to have the deck looking a certain way. We like for Howie Roseman to make all the moves, but it's only one football. And the more talent you get, in some cases, the worse it can get, because all of these guys want to touch the ball. So no, I don't think we need to be reaching for a guy his caliber at this point in time. I don't think we need to be looking for a guy that caliber at this point in time. I think that it is smart to just stick with what you got in the building and rock out with what you got in the building. You know what I mean? Shout out to my boy Cardo in the building, Cowboys fan. He's saying that they sweeping us this year. Oh man, you a funny guy, bro. I'm gonna get to that schedule in a little bit, but I think you already know where I'm going. When it comes to Dallas, spoiler alert, I have us splitting with Dallas pretty much every year. If I say we sweeping Dallas, it's me talking greasy. But as long as Dak in the building, we gonna split. We gonna get the game in Philly, and we probably gonna drop the game in Dallas. Like, that's just how it's going over the last X amount of years. If everybody's healthy, that's normally how it go. But then we normally steal the division, though. That's how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Y'all get a game off us, we get a game off y'all, then we win the division and we make our playoff run. That's normally how I go. And yeah, I thought you had a twin. That's funny. But shout out to Cardo, man. Appreciate you for tuning in, bro. Looking forward to seeing you for R2L Day, man. That's gonna be lit. I got that day circled on the calendar. So I'm looking forward to meeting you boys in person. But yeah, man. Bro, I know. Almost played Dallas first game of the season. I know. We end up getting the Commanders. We end up drawing the Commanders. Y'all got the Giants. That week 1 matchup for the NFC East gonna be fun, bro. That's gonna be a fun week for the whole division, bro. Because honestly, I think the whole division improved. I think the Commanders improved. I think the Cowboys improved. I think we improved. You know what I mean? I think the Giants improved. So it's going to be interesting to see in the whole division. Honestly, like, everybody healthy coming into the season too. Obviously, health is a big deal. So that's going to be fun. And yeah, man, if y'all not a member of the R2L community, y'all need to join the R2L community. Doing a live draft tomorrow to see where everybody end up as far as teams for the R2L event. We're doing a basketball tournament. I can't wait. I just want to put that out there, man. I cannot wait. But but yeah, there's a lot of different packages out there. I'm interested in seeing if other teams are going to jump out there. We know the Rams, you know, they was in talks to get AJ at one point in time. We know that the Chiefs were in talks to get AJ at another point in time. It's a lot of different teams that could jump out there. Obviously, I just mentioned Jacksonville. It's a lot of different teams come June 1st that's like, hold on, let's just see. You know what I mean? But like I said, if I'm Howie Roseman, I already kind of got a deal in place. I just want to get this done and just get it out the way. That's just me. I'm not trading them to no damn Chiefs. I'm not doing that because the Chiefs is like, in my opinion, as long as Pat there, they direct competition. If I'm being honest, bro, they direct competition. We didn't see them boys in the bowl twice now. Ain't like we went to the Super Bowl and didn't have to go through the Chiefs to get one. So I'm not trading them to the Chiefs. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. I'm damn sure not trading them to the Rams. I don't even know why that was a thought, especially now that we went and got Mekhi Lemon, because at one point it's like, oh, you can get Devontae Adams back, but it's like, nah, Devontae, he's an Asian receiver. He's not quite what he once was. Not doing that. You know what I mean? But you, like I said, you go and get Mekhi Lemon. I'm damn sure not trading him to the Rams. I don't want to. No, bro, I'm not doing that. I'm sending him to that AFC, and I'm sending him to a team where he would be happy with, where he would flourish, because we do want the. There's a human element to it. You do want him to go be successful. You don't want to go trade him to the Cleveland Browns or go trade him to a team that's not good. Like, I wouldn't do that to AJ. I wouldn't want the Eagles organization to do that to AJ, given everything that he did for us. I would not want to do that. You know what I mean? But I am going to do what's in the best interest of the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's trade you somewhere we ain't really got to deal with you till we got to deal with you, because we do respect the talent that is AJ Brown. We don't want no situation like Tennessee. They traded him. Tennessee traded AJ to us, and then we played them the next year, and he flamed them boys up for like 2-3 tugs. Ain't nobody trying to deal with that. and I don't think AJ would kill us like that, but I don't really want to deal with that. That's just me. I wouldn't really want to deal with that. But yeah, the last thing that the Patriots want is a bidding war, and this could turn into a bidding war. So I would keep my eyes out for that. But I do not expect AJ Brown to be a Philadelphia Eagle come June 3rd. I wherever we send him, I trust Howie to make a smart decision and send him wherever he needs to send him. Something else I want to touch on. Oh, actually, a few things I want to touch on before I get to the schedule. Number one, I want to touch on Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. I mentioned this on Unfazed, and I want to mention it again here really quick. Yo, we don't do enough talking about the people that do support Uno. We don't. We see all the reports about the people that don't like him and that don't support him and that ain't by his side, and you know what I'm saying? But we don't see all of the support that he actually do get. If you've been paying attention, and I know us Eagles fans have been, we've seen Jalen Hurts and Smeedy together all offseason. Flag football game, Eagles Autism Challenge, right? We saw them kicking it with Brady at one point. Like, we see them all over the place together, working out together all offseason. Smeedy strikes me as a guy that's all about action. He don't strike me as a guy that's about talk for real. He strikes me as a guy, I'm all about action. I'm going to go out here and show you what I can do on this field. We ain't got to talk about it. You know what I mean? I'm going to go out here and show you where my allegiance lies. We ain't got to talk about it. And I'm not saying that it's Hurts versus A.J. Brown and he choosing a side on some Drake and Kendrick stuff. But I'm just saying in general, because I believe he was in the A.J.'s wedding not so long ago. But I think in general, it's like, yo, AJ's my guy, but Hurts my guy too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna leave my guy here hanging. Y'all bash him, do all that talking y'all want, but I'm standing by my guy. I'm standing by my quarterback. You know what I'm saying? We don't do enough talk about the people that want to stay in Philly. We spend a lot of time talking about the player that don't want to be in Philly no more. And we question, why could that be? What happened with their relationship? I thought they was cool, yada, 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 yada. But we never talk about the players that want to stay. The Smeedies that's willing to take a pay cut to be in Philadelphia, to get everybody else paid so we can go win a championship. The Dallas Goddards, who could have went off and signed a great deal this offseason because he set a record for touchdowns for tight ends, I believe, in Philadelphia, but said, nah, I'd rather take a smaller deal than I had last year to stay in Philadelphia. You know what I mean? Like, we don't do enough talking about the players that want to be in Philly and that want to win championships. And I think that needs to be more of a focal point. The other thing two more things I want to bring up real quick before we talk about this schedule, right? Is I want to put this on the screen. I don't know if y'all gonna be able to see this as well, but this is gonna be quick. This one's gonna be kind of quick because the talk has been for the longest. We got a super team. We got a super team. I just want y'all to see that coming into this season, the talk is not about us having a super team no more. I just want to put that out there. I want this recorded. I want people to see. I want to be able to clip this up and be able to come back to this because before the season, we are. What's this? I'm looking right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th in Super Bowl odds behind the Rams, the Seahawks, the Ravens, and Buffalo, right in front of Kansas City, right? If you ask most pundits, most of them will have us behind the Packers and the Lions, right? Within the conference, and some other NFC teams within the conference, probably behind the Niners within the conference. So that has to be pointed out. And I also want to bring this up, and I don't know how well y'all can see that, but here it is. Let me get the other banner off the screen at the top here because y'all know what the show is. Best position groups in the NFL. Notice the Eagles aren't up there, but you see the teams that are. 4 teams in the NFC. 4 teams in the NFC. This is this year. This is MGM. Dallas is on there, a division rival. With Williams, with CD Lamb, with Pickens, given if Pickens signed an extension, whatever the case may be, we already know they got something going on. I've always been a fan of Jake Ferguson, even though he an op. I've always been a fan of Jake Ferguson. I think he's a great tight end in the league, right? You see Minnesota up there. Now they got Kyler Murray, and let some people tell it Kyler Murray better than Jalen Hurts. Let some people tell it. You know what I mean? But they got Aaron Jones. They got obviously Jettis, Addison. They went out and got Juwan Jennings, right? Who's a very solid number 3 option in the offense behind a guy like Jettis and Addison. And you got TJ Hawkinson still. Don't get me started on Detroit with Gibbs and St. Brown, Williams and Laporta and all them guys. You know what I mean? The Rams, we already know what that's about. Right, you got Puka, you got Kyron Williams, you got Devontae Adams. You already know what that Parkinson. You already know what that's about. And then you got the Bengals. Now we know the Bengals defense is what the Bengals defense is, right? And you can say the same thing about Dallas, but I think they improved their defense this year with the draft, right? But all in all, in Cincinnati, right? You got a Jamar Chase, you got a T. Higgins, you got, you know what I'm saying? You got players over there. You got players over there. Brown who can run the ball effectively out of the backfield. You got players over there. So I love the fact that we see graphics like this before the season starts. Remember, we're not a Super Bowl favorite. Just want to put this out there. The Eagles are not a Super Bowl favorite. The Eagles don't have, as of now, before the season starts, in the offseason, the Eagles don't have top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position group in the NFL. So the offense ain't loaded now. According to this, and I'm telling y'all, many other fan bases around the league, when we trade A.J. Brown, the talk is going to be the Eagles will not be the same coming into this season. And I want that talk to remain the same when Mekhi Lemon turned out to be exactly what I'm telling y'all he going to be. When Devontae Smith ends up being exactly what we know he already is. When Hurts has a resurgence. When Smith or when Saquon Barkley comes out and he dominates this season. You know what I mean? I ain't saying he going for 2,000, but I can see 1,300, 1,400 double-digit touchdowns. I can see that easily for Saquon, right? When Dallas Goedert reminds y'all, yeah, I'm still over here, right? And we see how great of a pickup Eli Stowers is. I just want that to be on record. Because you get tired of hearing the super team stuff and you get tired of hearing stuff held against my boy when you see these other quarterbacks ain't like they ain't working with scrubs. This is the National Football League. Dak Prescott got talent to throw the football to. Joe Burrow got talent to throw the football to and hand the ball off to. Same thing with Jared Goff. Same thing with Matt Stafford. Same thing with Kyler Murray. These guys got talent now. And you can make the argument that all of these guys have more talent on the offensive side of the ball than the Philadelphia Eagles. So let's remember this when it's time to evaluate how this season goes when we having these conversations about Hurts. Because I'm telling y'all, Hurts ain't gonna drop off, and his offense ain't gonna be no worse than what it was last year, leading the league in 3 and outs and things of that nature. That's not happening again. It's not happening again. So that needs to be mentioned. That needs to be talked about. Now, last but not least, I know y'all been waiting on it. Eagles schedule predictions. Schedule predictions. Now, I got a piece of paper here because I've been trying to go through and I've been trying to find the losses. I don't know, man. I've been trying to find the losses. And I'm telling you, they hard to find. They are hard to find. You know what I mean? They are hard to find. You know, some of this stuff, okay, I don't necessarily like the short turnaround from December 19th to December 24th, right? Playing the Seahawks, the defending Super Bowl champions, right? And then you turn around on a short week and play that Texans defense. Shortly after that, Thursday night football. So we play on a Saturday, then a Thursday. I think that's tough. I do like the fact that both games are at the crib, though. I will say that, so that's helpful. We play multiple teams coming off of a bye this year, so I don't like that, if I'm being honest with you. I don't like the fact that we have to travel to Dallas for Thanksgiving. I don't. I understand how the Eagles schedule breaks down. Most of the time, the first time we play the Dallas Cowboys, we're at home, right? And then the next time we play the Dallas Cowboys, we're on the road. This year, I would have loved for that to have been flipped. I'd have loved to play them first on the road, and then they come to Philly on Thanksgiving. Nevertheless, we'll take it for what it's worth. According to a lot of analytics and things of that nature, they are saying we have the easiest schedule in the division. And to be honest, I feel like we've earned it. You know, I think during the season, we're going to get a lot of slack for it because we're going to have a great year. I think during the season, we're going to get a lot of slack for how easy the schedule is. But we're not going to talk about the fact that we've had one of the hardest schedules in the league over the last 3-4 years. When has our schedule been easy? You can make the argument with 2022. Okay, cool. Outside of 2022, we've had very difficult schedules. We've had the toughest schedules in the division. Why? Because for the most part, we've won the division. So I think this year, if I'm not mistaken, we won the Super Bowl with the hardest division or the hardest schedule in the division, and one of the hardest schedules in the league. We had like a top 5 level of difficulty schedule. Won the Super Bowl off of it. So I think we earned the right to have a kind of an easier schedule, and that's how I'm looking at it. We finally have a stretch where we got back-to-back. We got actually, now I'm looking at this again, we got 3 home games in a row. We got the Colts, the Seahawks, and the Texans all in a row. All in a row. And that I'm appreciative to, only because it just looks like all of these are short, like all of them are short weeks. So it's nice for them to be at home given that they are short weeks. But yeah, to the things I like about the schedule, that's one of the things I like about the schedule. The level of difficulty is something else that I like about this schedule. I've always been indifferent about playing the division immediately right out the gate. Like, I've always been very indifferent about that. I haven't been the best fan of that because week 1 is always weird. I would much rather play a division rival week 2, week 3, but I respect it. The Commanders coming to Philadelphia. Let's just say I think we get that dub. I think that Vic Fangio, Vic Fangio has a pretty good grasp on what Jayden Daniels is so far in the league as a quarterback. That's not to say Jayden Daniels is a scrub and he's easy to game plan for by any stretch of the imagination. But I think that there's a few games in 2024 where he caught us off guard. Most notably that second game. He was a little banged up in the first. That second game where he came back and he had like 5 touchdowns against us and all that stuff. I think that game Hurts got hurt and CJ got ejected. It was a whole bunch of weird stuff going on. But I think Vic Fangio knows what he is as a quarterback. I think he knows how to game plan for him. I think we saw that in the postseason, and I think that we are a very tough matchup for them. So I think that's a dub for us, especially at home. We are 5-0 in the Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts era week 1. I think that continues against Washington. Then you got the Tennessee Titans. I'm not worried about the Titans. Not going to spend a lot of time on them. I think they have a bright future. I like the Cornell Tate pickup. I like Cam Ward, but I'm not worried about the Titans. I think that's a dub even on the road. Then you got A little bit of a longer week here, which is nice. You play the Bears Monday Night Football, and this is a get back game, in my opinion. Like the Bears last year, they made their bones off of creating turnovers, and heroic play from Caleb Williams down the stretch. That's how they won. That was their bread and butter. We gonna create turnovers and you know Caleb, he gonna take us there at the end. That's what they did against us. It was very similar. Now, Caleb didn't have to do a ton at the end of the game because we gave them the ball so many times. I think Hurts threw an interception. He also fumbled one of a tush push. If I'm not mistaken, Caleb gave us the ball as well that game once or twice, but we gave it right back. And so I think in this matchup, we are more to prepare for the Bears. I think we look to get back against this football team. I think that's a Monday night football game, prime time game. And like I said before, I just think that we get back against them, and I think in general, I also want to say this. I think last year, a part of what people kill Hurts for is the primetime games. Hurts didn't play his best. Hurts had his best games last year outside of the week 1, which was a great game against Dallas. He had his best games like noon, 4:25, 3:25 my time. Like the games nobody was really watching. The Minnesota game I was at because I live out here in Minnesota, right? The Vikings game I was at where he had the perfect passer rating. Nobody saw the game. It wasn't a primetime game. Had he done that during primetime, the talks would have been different around that game, right? That was a big game in a big moment in the season for the Philadelphia Eagles. We were on a downwards trajectory. It was talks, quote unquote, coming out of the locker room that is real reminiscent of 2023, right? AJ was in his funk, doing what AJ does, right? It just was a lot of talk at that time. And then all of a sudden, boom, perfect game. Didn't get talked about as much as it needed to get talked about. But they harped on the Bears game. They harped on the Chargers game. What other primetime games that Hurts not? I'm trying to think. I think one of the Giants games, I think maybe the first game we lost to the Giants was a primetime game, if I'm not mistaken. Hurts didn't play his best ball that game. I think he makes amends for a lot of the primetime showings this year. I think he does. And I think it helps that we have a new coordinator that's going to add some new wrinkles to this offense, switch things up, run more play action, get us under center a lot more, make our offense less predictable. So I think weeks 1 through, let's just say, up to the bye week, them teams going to have a hard time game planning for us because I expect for it to be a brand new offense. I expect for it to be a brand new offense where multiple people could kill you. Wicks might have a day. Saquon might take over in the run game. Devontae is going to do his thing this year. Oh, there go Mekhi Lemon. Oh, there go Dallas Goedert. I just think it's going to be more of a spread around offense where everybody kind of eats, where, your 2 top guys still find a way to, take over games and do their thing. So in the pass game. So I say all I have to say, I got to win against the Bears. The Rams, I'm chalking up as a win as well. Because Stafford, as great as he is, he got to show me he could beat Jay Hurts. He ain't beat Jay Hurts yet. I wonder if I have this. If I could quickly find this and share this with y'all, because this is a graphic that I have in my phone. I might not be able to find it fast enough, but it's a graphic I have in my phone of Jalen Hurts' numbers versus Stafford's numbers, right? In the times that we have met up with those guys. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it in time. I'll make sure I have it for the next episode. But the long story short is we be dominating them boys. And Hurts be outplaying him every single time they line it up and every single time they match up. So, yeah, I know most people be expecting us to lose to the Rams, and they almost had us last year. How the meme go? They had us in the first half last year. Then the second half rolled around, and they got torched. I don't foresee that happening this time. I foresee us. Oh, I found it. Let me get this on the screen right now. See if I can get this on the screen right now. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. Bear with me. Bang, bang, boom, boom. Bang, bang. All right, let's see here. Because I want to get this up. Is it right here? Right here. Bam. Now, that comes from first things first. The Rams got to show me that they could beat this man before I just all of a sudden assume that they going to beat this man, bro. Like, they have to show me, bro. I'm tired of hearing about the Rams and who they are and what they do. And every time they on the Eagles schedule, everybody want to act all frantic. This is what it looks like when they line it up. Passing yards higher, completion percentage higher, yards per attempt higher, touchdown to interception ratio the same, quarterback passer rating better. 4 wins Hurts, 0 wins Stafford. And if we calling a spade, if we being honest right now, right? The offense on the Philadelphia Eagles almost mirrors the offense over there that Stafford got. You throwing the ball to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. And before Tay Adams got over there, you had Cooper Kupp over there. At one point, you had Odell over there. Like, come on now. Come on now. So I say all that to say, they're going to have to show me that they could beat us before I ever chalk them boys up as a win against us. I don't care where we playing. And where is this game? Is this game in Philly too? The game is in Philly. Yeah, give me the Eagles. We start 4-0. Now, I must admit, this was the game where I said on Unfazed, week 5 here against Jacksonville, where I said I got a little trepidation, right? This game is in London. Those games out of the country, they get a little weird. You know what I mean? It'd be a little weird. You know what I mean? But the longer I thought about this, the more I said, man, that's a win too. Another team Jay Hurts undefeated against. He ain't lost to Jacksonville. You know what I mean? Jacksonville had an opportunity to beat us in 2022. Didn't happen. Jacksonville had an opportunity to beat us in 2024. Didn't happen. They got the same quarterback over there. They got a lot of similar playmakers over there. I know Brian Thomas Jr. is a different addition, but still. Defense has improved. That's for sure. But on a neutral field, give me the Eagles. Now, what I will admit is this, though. After further review and after thinking about this stuff more, I do have that Panthers game as our first loss. If I may say so myself. I think that the Panthers game is tricky because you're traveling back home, right, from London. You're coming off a big-time win. You already was this 5-0, and I feel like you do for one. The Panthers are they sneak up on you now. This was a playoff team last year that gave the Rams a run for their money. I think Bryce Young is a young and up-and-coming quarterback still. I think a lot of people sleep on his talent. I think this past year, his regular season and playoff experience helped him a lot. I thought he was great in the playoffs against the Rams. I just think Stafford just did what Stafford does at the end of games. Like, that just was what it was. But the Panthers on both sides of the ball, they were in the game. And they had a chance early in the game to tap out, and they didn't. Because the Rams came out, immediately put a touchdown on the board. And that could have been, we know how I go in sports. Sometimes you put your foot on somebody's neck early enough, that can go sideways quick, but it didn't. Panthers hung in there. They fought all game long. They made plays, forced turnovers, and they was in the game. You know what I mean? So we also got to remember our Super Bowl year, the Panthers gave us a run for our money. And so I think the Panthers get us. Because I also think not only are they a solid team that can kind of get slept on, but I also think that the Eagles might look ahead a little bit because we got Dallas. And Dallas is a team this year. Again, I foresee the Dallas Cowboys being a little better this year. You know, I foresee them being a little better this year. I foresee that being a big, Monday Night Football? I see that being a big Monday Night Football game right there that you got to have. Like I said before, the split with Dallas is usually crucial because it's hard to win in Dallas. And that's just us being real. Like, here on AJ's Birds, we gonna keep it 100 about these division rivals. I don't like them because they are division rivals, but I do have a decent amount of respect for some of these teams. Dallas is, unfortunately for me, one of them teams where you just never know what you're gonna get. You have to get that win at the crib because you don't know how that game in Dallas gonna go. That's just the fact. If Dak is healthy, you don't know how that game in Dallas is going to go. You just don't know. And so I think that game is very important. So I think they may overlook the Panthers a little bit, but I think they come out extremely ready for the Cowboys in that game. You got to also look ahead too, because not only are you looking ahead to Dallas, you got Dallas, you got Washington and the Giants. You got the whole division back to back to back. And I'd make the argument maybe all of those games besides that Washington game is a must win. Them home games you got to have. You cannot drop home games in the division, in my opinion. I think going on the road is going to be a little tough this year. Not to say that we can't sweep Washington, not to say that we can't sweep the Giants, but if I had to guess, that Washington game will be our second L of the season. If I had to guess, that Washington L will be our second L on the season. So that brings us to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 and 2. 6 and 2 in week 8. Because I think we get them, but I think they get us back on the road Sunday Night Football. I think it's a good game. I think it's a competitive game. But I think they get us back right there on the road. So that brings me to 6 and 2. It's funny. As soon as I get to talk about the division pop up. What's good, Tomo? Where they at, Jay Voice? Hey, shout out to Iceman, bro. I don't care nobody say this off topic, bro. Iceman, I don't care what nobody say, bro. And I was one of the dudes, right, that was rocking with Dot during the beef. Always been a fan of all three of them, though. If you know me, you know I rock with Cole. You know I've always rocked with Drake. Always been a big Drake fan. And I always rocked with Dot, but I always felt like Kendrick was the best rapper amongst the three. So when it came time to rap, I said, I think the best rapper is going to prevail. Now, I didn't think it was going to go the way it went. The best rapper is going to prevail, though. That was my prediction. You know what I mean? So the best rapper prevailed, but I was waiting on Drake to come out with Iceman. And for me, I ain't going to talk about them other two albums because them other two albums really not for me. But Iceman, to me, personally, did not disappoint. And the people that give it one spin, bro, I cannot stand the people that give an album one spin and that's it. Like, we listen to music different around here, bro. I ain't gonna lie, side of me was thinking about doing the AJ's Birds and the music podcast. You know what I mean? Because I could get on my Joe Budden too if I really wanted to, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna focus on this. But I just say, like, when you listening to an album from a respected artist that can really rap, you can listen to Future a different way than you listen to anybody else. Because Future, you know right away if you like it or not. That is what it is, right? But somebody like Drake, Kendrick, J. Cole, you gotta listen to that mug in the whip. You gotta hear it outside. You gotta hear it in the headphones. Like, you gotta hear it multiple times, bro, because you catch different things. But I ain't gonna spend a lot of time on that. Shout out to Iceman. Iceman didn't disappoint. He also gave a shout out to my dog Jay Hurts. So shout out to him for that. I posted it to my story. Shout out to him for that. But yeah, back to this schedule. I don't want to get too sidetracked. I know my Eagles fans, they want to hear about the schedule, how I feel about the schedule. We're getting back to that. The Giants, I think we coming off of an L against Washington. I think we beat the Giants right here at home. So that brings us to 7 and 2 going into the bye week. And I'm feeling good. If it goes this way, I feel good. All right. You did lose a game within the division. Okay, cool. And you lost to the Panthers, right? That's two home. That's one home. That's one home game that you lost, and one game on the road. But I feel good. Right? You sitting in a perfect spot right here at the bye week. You got a chance to refresh, right? You got an interesting stretch coming up after the bye, right? So you got a chance to kind of just get your mind right. I like the fact that it's kind of at that midway point in the season, a little over the midway point in the season where you can kind of reevaluate things. It's not towards the beginning of the year. It's not towards the end. It's right there in the middle. Anybody that needs some extra ice, right, needs some extra Gatorade, needs some extra rest, need to go home, see the wife, see the kids, see the family. You got all the time to do that for that week, right? Sitting at 7 and 2. In my opinion, at that point, number one in the NFC East, probably number one or number two in the NFC, just depending on how all of it breaks down, right? Because I don't think it's going to be as congested at the top this year as it was last year. Last year was crazy. I don't think it's going to be as congested as the top this year. So I think you're sitting at 1 or 2 easily in the NFC. And then you go into week 11 coming off the bye. And like Jay Hurts said, I don't know who they got over there at quarterback. He didn't say that. I'm paraphrasing what he said when he was asked. Like, he still got Rodgers. He said, who knows? I feel the same way. No disrespect to the Steelers fans out there, bro. We not worried about the Steelers. Another team, Jay Hurts be flaming up every time they see him. Now it may look different this year because because there will be no AJ, but they don't have that quarterback situation situated. I'm not too worried about Aaron Rodgers at this point in his career. I expect our defensive line to be ferocious, get to him in the pocket, and if you can fluster him in that pocket, get to him, get him to the ground. He's not the same Aaron Rodgers that can get outside of the pocket, move around, and make plays. So that's just how I feel about that. If they even bring back Rodgers, I don't know who they got at quarterback right now, but that alone is enough for me to be like, that is a win, and we go advance to 8-2, especially coming off of a bye, bro. Like, that's another thing about us. We don't drop too many of them games coming off a bye, bro. Like, you got a little bit of time to study the opponent. We ain't too worried about that. You know what I mean? Now we got Dallas again. So we sitting at 8-2, right? We got Dallas, right? On the road, Thanksgiving. And again, if I'm being real with myself, right? I got us losing that game because we normally split with Dallas. I skipped that part. Go Cowboys. Of course. Yeah, man. We normally split with these boys. That's just how it goes. I don't think we swept them with Dak in the lineup. I don't think it's happened. I don't think they come to think about it, I don't think they swept us when we had Hurts either. 2021, we lost the first game. I think that game was in Dallas. The second game we played them. Hurts didn't play in that game because I think it was like last game of the season or something like that. I think Devontae went out there and got his 9-16 to get that rookie record, and that was it. Hurts didn't play. 2022. If I'm not mistaken, we swept them, but Dak didn't play all year. No. We didn't sweep them. Actually, we won the first game in Philly, and we lost the second game because we had Gardner Minshew out there. So Hurts didn't play the second game. 2023, trying to recall. Dang, 2023 was so bad. It's foggy. I'm trying to remember. Yes, we won the first game. I remember Jalen Hurts had a banged up knee. We won the first game, lost the second game. They stomped us out in the second game. That was during that stretch, if y'all remember, where we played them. We played the Niners, and they both stomped us out. So, yeah, we got stumped out in Dallas that year. Super Bowl year, I don't think we played Dak all year, if I'm not mistaken. I know we didn't play him in the second game. I'm kind of foggy on the first game, but I think we swept them, and I don't think Dak played all year, at least in the games that we played, if I'm not mistaken. And so I say all that to say, if both Hurts and Dak Prescott are available, we split. That's just how it goes. I think we know them. They know us. We tend to play better at home. They tend to play better at home. And that's just how it goes. So I got to say 8-3 coming off of the Dallas game. Then we got the Cardinals, December 6th. I think that's an easy win for us. You stop the run game, and they just got a big-time addition in the run game in the draft. But you stop the run, and I think you're good as far as that's concerned against the Cardinals. You got the Colts after that. Again, I got a question mark at quarterback. Is Daniel Jones back? I know he tore his Achilles. Was it Achilles? I think it was the Achilles. He tore his Achilles. My assumption is he'd be back by now, but I wasn't high on Daniel Jones last year, to be honest with you. I thought his play was a tick overrated, and I was kind of waiting on that to come back to earth. It started to kind of come back to earth towards the end, but he was banged up before he tore the Achilles. And so we'll see what they look like this year, but they were so good this past year. I don't think they duplicate that this year. I don't think they're that good. And they got to come to Philly. I got that as a dub. I got us going at that point. I think that is 10-3. Seattle. I think we get Seattle. I'm interested in seeing how Seattle looks this year because it's different going from being the hunters to the hunted. As us Eagles fans know, we saw 2023 when we went to the Super Bowl how we looked the following season, or 2022 when we went to the Super Bowl how we looked the following season. We saw us just win the Super Bowl and how we looked again this following season. It's different being the hunted. You the team everybody want to play. You the team everybody got circled. How does Sam Darnold perform under that pressure? I don't want to keep on. The man won the Super Bowl, so I don't want to make it seem like he can't perform under pressure. I think that narrative is dead at this point, but it is a different type of pressure. I'm interested in seeing how Seattle looks with that pressure on their back this year. No Kenneth Walker. He's not on the roster anymore, right? We got Rick Woolen now, so I think that's a blow to their secondary. So I'm just interested in seeing how they look at this point in time in the season. And I think they're in a division that's going to make it tough. I think San Fran is going to make it tough again. I think the Rams are out to get them this year. I think the Rams really want to make that run this year. So, and I think that they built their team to be the team like the Seattle Seahawks this year. So I think that's going to be very interesting to see how they fare at this point in the season. But I think we get them. And I know the narrative is we can't beat Seattle. I know that's the narrative. We haven't beat Seattle in a very long time. I'm telling y'all, this is going to be the year we do it. I'm not too concerned about Seattle. I would be more concerned about Seattle if we played them like week 3. You'd be like, ooh. But by this time in the season, I think we got a really good grasp on what we're doing. I think we got a good grasp on how they look and what they're doing. I respect them as the reigning Super Bowl champs. Again, similar to the Colts, I don't expect them to be as good next year. And I expect us to be a lot better than what we were last year. So I got us beating Seattle. What's that? Week 15, week 16. This was one I originally had as an L2. Because I could see this being a look-ahead game, right? Because you got San Fran coming. And I'm really interested in seeing where San Fran is. These 2 games are here, right? December 19th and January 3rd. Depending on where everyone's seated, them going to be the 2 biggest games of the year. If we're vying for if we got the NFC East for the most part locked up, you know what I mean? And we looking at getting the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed, them 2 games are going to be the biggest games of the year. You're going to need maybe both of those games. So I can see you going out and dropping a game to a Texans team. Like, man, we got to worry about. And I know players they say they don't look ahead, but I think the natural human instinct is to be like, yo, that game right there might determine if we get the 1 seed or not. I respect I respect their defense. We'll be playing them on a short week. I know it's at home. And I believe that's like my second loss I got at home. But I think that is an L. I do think that's an L. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I think that's an L against the Texans. I just see that being an ugly game. Like, not like the Chargers game, but I just see that being like a defensive game. Can't nobody really score. It's just a tough sledding, and we just don't get it done in the end. But I think that puts us in the right mind frame to finish the season out strong. I think we get the Niners up out of there on the road. Yeah, I said it. And I think we get the Giants up out of there to finish out the season. And I think the Eagles end up with a 13-4 record. There you have it. I think the Eagles end up with a 13-4 record. Like I said, I got my losses being we split with the Cowboys, we split with Washington, we lose to the Panthers, and we lose to the Texans. That's how I got this unfolding. And I see us, we're going to see how the rest of this NFC unfold, but I see us getting that 1 seed, bro. I ain't going to lie. If we drop the games that I say we drop and we win the games that I say we win, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll have most of the tiebreakers. You know what I mean? You take care of San Fran, you take care of Seattle, and you take care of the Rams. You ain't got to worry about that division. You got a tiebreaker over that whole division now. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't got to worry about that division. You ain't got to worry about the East because you already done won the East. You know what I mean? Who else in that NFC are you really worried about? You're not really worried about no other teams like that, or even any other division like that in the NFC. You don't play the Buccaneers this year. Instead, you play the Panthers. But even though they'll have the tiebreaker, I don't think they'll finish as high as a 13-4. They might finish they might be 11-6 or something crazy, 10-7. They might be that, but they ain't gonna be no 13-4, 14-3. That's not happening. You beat the Bears. That could be another team another division, NFC North, that you worry about. But if you beat the Bears, you got the tiebreaker over the Bears. You know what I mean? We'll see what the Vikings look like. We'll see what the Packers look like. We'll see what Michael Parsons looks like coming off his torn ACL. We'll see when he comes back and when he's available. We'll see what that kind of breaks down and looks like. But I think, again, if you handle business against the teams that you're supposed to handle business against, I think that you end up with the tiebreakers needed for the number 1 seed in the conference. That's how I see it. 13-4 for the Birds this year. I said this on Unfazed, and I'll say it here to end the show. I think this year, Eagles fans, I think we have a hungry group of athletes, bro. I think we got a group of athletes that are hungry and thirsty to prove who they are yet again. You know, Jalen Hurts has been ran through the mud all season, all off season. It's been bad. So you know he coming into this season hungry to show what he could do. They got my man. They sent my man's in a prove-it year, Super Bowl champion, a prove-it year, bro. What a prove-it year for a dude that just won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, bro. We 1 season removed from a Super Bowl MVP, bro, in the prove-it year. All right, sound good. You know what I mean? You got that going on, right? Saquon coming off of a down year. Devontae Smith, right? Devontae Smith, no A.J. Brown potentially. He the number 1 option. You know, he trying to showcase what he could do as the number 1 guy in the offense. Mekhi Lemon, young rookie, you know, he want to showcase what he could do. Dallas Goedert just signed a 1-year deal. With us getting Stowers, that's writing on the wall for him not being in the building next year. So, you know, he going to be looking to have another big year and get paid. This offensive line was not good last year. You know them guys want to redeem themselves. Like, let's really break this down. We got Reek Woolen. Reek Woolen on a 1-year deal. He's on a prove-it deal. You know he's going to want the ball to get paid. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, they haven't got paid yet. Now, they going to get – I think they get paid no matter how they play this year, honestly, because they've been so elite these first 2 years. But nevertheless, you always want to ball out till you get the bag. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, still waiting on their big bag. You know Jalen Carter didn't have a great season last year, kind of another down year, or kind of a down year for him. But you know he wants to be the highest paid defensive lineman in the league. And I think if he has a big enough year, he deserves to be that. So, you know, he looking to prove himself. We went and just got Jonathan Gennard. So Nolan, and we got Jalix Hunt. So, you know, Nolan Smith, he got to try to find his way. Nolan Smith looking to have a big year. Like, we got a lot of different guys on this roster that should be coming into this season with something to prove, and should be coming into this season hungry just to showcase what they can do. And so that's a big reason why I feel amazing about this team, with a new offensive coordinator, with Vic Fangio on defense, with a head coach that should be hungry as well now because of the season that we just had. And again, looking at this schedule, it's hard not to feel good about the potential of this football team. If we come out here and we play hungry, play smart, take care of the football, and guys play to their standards, I think we will be just fine this NFL season. Now, remember, like I said, remember how them talks is going to be when we trade AJ. They're going to say we're going to be trash once we trade AJ. I'm telling y'all what they're going to say. And then they're going to switch. And then they're going to switch up. And then they're going to switch up when we ball. I'm telling y'all. It's going to be about the schedule. It's going to be, look at Devontae. Look at Smitty. Look at this. Look at that. Look at Mekhi Lemon. You still got Mekhi Lemon out the So I want y'all to be prepared for that. Be prepared for that because we know it's coming. We know how this go. Because when we got AJ, they told us who gonna throw him the ball. That was the who gonna throw AJ the ball. Is he even elite? Like, he's cool, but he ain't no Julio Jones. Y'all acting like he Julio Jones. Y'all remember the talks. We got Saquon. Oh, he injury prone. What he gonna do? He not the same back he once was. We remember the talks, bro. So you know how this gonna go. Just gear yourselves up for it, but understand we're gonna have a great season. That's all I have for y'all today, man. I'll be back next week with some more fresh news for y'all, man. But I wanted to touch on that draft. I wanted to touch on the latest AJ Brown news. I want to touch on my dog Hurts and Smitty being attached at the hip this offseason. You know, I wanted to touch on it all. Pause. And so I'm glad I was able to hit all of those things, man. And at the end of the day, y'all already know what it is, man. Go Birds. We out.
looking, firing, intercepted, picked up by Cooper DeJean, gets a block, tap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles going for it all.